This time on The Pulse, we're focusing in on tourism, and where better to talk about visitation and downtown on the rise than the Dalmar Hotel. We have the best of both worlds, a gorgeous beachfront, a vibrant, thriving urban downtown destination, and visitors have come to find that this is the best place to vacation, ultimately live, and to start a business. Today, we'll be having a conversation with Jake Wurzak, founder of Dovehill Capital, developer of the Dalmar Hotel, and a Fort Lauderdale resident. We first met, it was almost 10 years ago, but we won't say 10.
Yep.
Maybe 2015.
Yep.
You walked into the planning department,
Yep.
said, I'm going to build a hotel on Federal Highway in downtown. And I think our crew at the city said, who's this kid? What is he thinking? We have maybe 2 hotels in downtown.
Yep.
And little did anyone know the chops that you had in the industry. We're going to talk about the future. We're going to talk about all the success today. But tell us a little bit about how you got here.
Well, I got here because of my wife. But before that, I went to school at University of Miami. I went to law school at Nova Southeastern. So I had always loved Fort Lauderdale. It was one of the greatest places that I could possibly imagine to live. We originally started in Miami Beach and then saw that whole real estate trend and craze getting a little out of control. So when we went to buy our first house, we moved back to Fort Lauderdale, where my wife is from. And when I came to Fort Lauderdale, I realized that there was really nothing interesting from a hospitality standpoint. There was some stuff on the beach, even from restaurants. Like, it didn't have what Miami had. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a huge opportunity to create it. And that's really why we decided to do the Dalmar and hopefully other things in the future, because there's so much opportunity.
It must have seemed like a big risk, though. You know, you're kind of in the middle. There's Las Olas Boulevard. Flagler was just coming out of the ground with residential units. You started to see people walking along the streets, but it was still beach-centric for Fort Lauderdale. So why downtown and why right here in this location?
It's still beach-centric, but I really believed that downtowns are what give the lifeblood to a community. And when I was going out in Fort Lauderdale, I was going downtown. I wasn't going to the beach. So I saw this big opportunity. You're 10 minutes from the airport. You're right by Las Olas. You're around all of this activity. And we wanted to create an experience for people and for the locals in the community that was special and unique. The other thing that was interesting is I bought into all the hype that you were like sharing. And I knew all this residential was coming. It was hard to believe that would all get built, but for the most part, it got built plus more, and it's still happening. And when we did the Dalmar, I had hoped that it would kind of reorient the center of downtown. And I think if you look at the map, if you look at the development map, it's happening. And when you have Hines, who's one of the greatest developers in the country, in the world, building something even more north than we are here today at the Dalmar, that just shows you where the trend is moving.
We've seen so many people come to live here, make this their permanent home, possibly after their first visit or visits with grandparents or back in the day. And so that population increase has really fueled, I think, other visitors, friends and family to come stay who might not otherwise, which has only helped. But what about big events? What about, conferences? How do you deal with, meetings? Are people starting to realize that downtown can be a unique location for that too?
So when we were raising capital for this deal, that was my whole pitch. Like, no one wants to wait and get stuck at a bridge and drive to the beach and have a meeting. If they're downtown, they want to meet downtown. They want to have an event downtown. They want to go to lunch and dinner and drinks at Sparrow downtown. That was our whole pitch. I think a big thing to get these bigger groups of meetings is the convention center. Now, with what they're building, I think that changes and it happens. The other thing that we're seeing is overflow from everything that's going on in Miami. So Miami is starting to reach capacity for certain events, and those are starting to push to Fort Lauderdale, but the whole sports ecosystem is really crazy. So F1, we have Red Bull staying here. We have F1 teams staying here. We have, we had the Super Bowl. Now we have soccer. It's awesome. I'm very excited for Pier 66 because I believe they're going to have a membership club. That sounds kind of fun. I think every city needs a high-end hotel, 5-star hotel. I think that's going to be that. The Four Seasons Hotel has been a tremendous addition to Fort Lauderdale. I was in Europe recently, and 2 people brought up the Four Seasons Hotel in Fort Lauderdale to me, and it really, really, really put it on the map. I think there's a new restaurant coming there. That's going to be exciting. There's going to be a bunch of new restaurants coming at Pier 66. So all of this is great for the Dalmar. It's great for Fort Lauderdale. And then Steve Hudson's building a hotel on Las Olas, which I think is going to be smaller, a little bit more boutique, but very upscale, which I'm hoping will elevate the rates in downtown, because I still think compared to other cities, hotel rates in downtown are pretty cheap. You know, like if you go to Dallas, you're spending $700 or $800 a night. You can stay at the Dalmar, which is better than the majority of the hotels in Dallas, and not spend $700, $800 a night, even in the season at the Dalmar. So there's definitely an opportunity for more rate growth. We've had a lot of it.
You talked about food and beverage. We talked about the Omni and the Whitfield. Not only do those create new hotel opportunities, clearly, but the secondary effects, the retail, the higher end food, the chefs that come, the storefronts, the shopping opportunities, I think that starts to create more demand that you're talking about. So it's a very, it's a process that feeds on itself for the benefit of this community. Pretty exciting.
It is pretty
But
cool.
you talk about how we get to maybe sometimes ride the coattails of Miami Beach, but we also are very complementary, right? So there's a different experience that you can have in Fort Lauderdale. We have both the beach and downtown, almost in walking distance, definitely biking distance, certainly a short hop. You don't get that if you're staying in Miami Beach. So we're the best of both.
Fort Lauderdale offers neighborhood, community, the proximity to all that. Like when we go out to dinner in Miami, my wife and I say it's like you can drive to Vegas, go to dinner, and then come home. Where else can you do that? You can't even do that in Vegas because you're in Vegas. It's amazing. Fort Lauderdale offers the boat, the beach, the convention center, the airport. It is unmatched. I think there's a lot more that needs to happen from a restaurant, shopping, activation side. I think arts and culture are going to continue to push there, but you're seeing all the people talking about it and then the projects happening and getting done.
So other, cities around the world, around the country at least, what worked in those other cities that you want to see from that sense of place, that culture, the sophistication? What do we need to do here to keep going on that upward vibe?
So everything's new here in Florida. So I think architecture and design and creating a vibe and an aesthetic that looks like maybe it's been here for a while or it was meant to be here or is coordinated in some way is really important. Walkability is a huge component of that. Restaurants are a huge component of that. So when you're building all this residential, I think art, restaurants, how the ground floors are being activated are really important.
So for those who don't know the Dalmar, which if they don't, they better come.
They better come.
Tell us how you were intentional about the type of businesses that you brought in here, the brand, the aesthetic, how you made that unique to Fort Lauderdale, but also to the brand, the Dalmar.
So we were a little bit ahead of the curve, but for COVID, what it really made people realize is that experiential hospitality is a huge priority for them in their life. But the key is experiences and differentiating yourself. And we do that here through design, through service. The Dalmar just won top 10 service in the whole brand throughout the world.
Congratulations. That's
excited, but also on the F&B side. So every great hotel should have some really great F&B outlets. Here we have Sparrow, we have the Lobby Bar, we have Terrace Grill on the ground floor, and we also have Roses, this coffee shop where we're getting people from the yoga studio, we're getting people from the neighborhood to come in. And now our friend Dev knocked down this Greyhound bus station across the street, which is like a total disaster. And he's building these 2 great towers, which is going to bring more neighborhood feel to the Dalmar. But ultimately, we wanted to create a 4-star product that hit above its weight class on the food and beverage side and on the service and experiential side.
It's not just a place for the tourist, for the visitor. As you said, people from the neighborhood are coming over. I see every single morning as I drive into downtown, young women and men walking in their yoga gear, either coming out or going to one of the classes. And so it's a place for locals as well. And you don't always see that with hotels, especially in a more tourist-centric area like on the beach. So we've really created a place where, whether you've been here a long time, whether you're visiting for the night, you feel comfortable, and that's special.
Placemaking is hard, and we didn't have a lot of opportunity to placemake except for our own business because this is a hotel and we could do it. But we do have a yoga studio, and that brings people to the hotel that might not have ordinarily came to the hotel. It also creates this life and activity, and that's definitely an opportunity for other developers in the space.
I think you need that critical mass too, those who are willing to invest to make something special, because you now cast the die or set the bar. 3rd Street here is going to always be different because what you did at the Dalmar. So the next development that comes in won't have that vacant space on the grounds. They're going to think about What local businesses do we tap into? What material choices do we use? How do we engage the public? And that's how I think great cities evolve, is street by street, development by development. Our mission is to improve the public spaces, the in-between areas where there's not vertical development yet, places that people not only want to visit, but want to come back to. And so we work together, make it all happen.
Well, one thing that I think we should talk about that is important to you as well is parks and green space. So Huizenga Park is going to be amazing.
What we're doing with Huizenga Park, and thank you for serving on the foundation there, because it truly is that public, private, and philanthropic partnership. But creating just these world-class public spaces, it's kind of the most basic form of the city's soul, right? And whether you're at Holiday Park, which is an immense open space with now great amenities, the Parker, War Memorial's being transformed with the Panthers. Huizenga Park is everyone's outdoor living room, kitchen, play area all in one, and how we connect these green spaces kind of, along the line. It's going to be really transformational. You're a resident here, you're invested in the community. Tell us a little bit about what you do outside of your development role to really make sure that Fort Lauderdale stays on the right track.
So the cool thing about Fort Lauderdale, I think, is access. Like, it's the biggest little city ever. So you can call the mayor, you can call the head of, Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital. You have access to all these amazing things in the city. Broward Hospital, the Fort Lauderdale Art Museum, the Performing Arts Center is insane. It is the nicest performing arts center probably in the state of Florida and one of the nicest on the East Coast. And it is within walking distance. Like, you can go see Jerry Seinfeld perform and then be home in 10 minutes. You can go see some crazy rock band perform and be home in 10 minutes. Where else does that happen? And then you could take your boat and be out to the ocean. So it has all these amenities that Miami doesn't have. The other huge thing that I think is very underrated is the proximity to the airport. So if you are a person that travels frequently, or if you are a hotel, that closeness to the airport makes the friction to come into Fort Lauderdale very, very, very easy. And I don't think you can point to many cities where you can land at the airport, be at the beach, be downtown, be at the convention center, be at a rock concert within 10 minutes of landing there.
When you and your wife go out to dinner, what's the quintessential place that you love?
I mean, it's going to be so obvious. If my wife and I are going out to dinner, our go-to spots, and I'm very, I think, challenging to be friends with because I'm very opinionated at what restaurants I want to go to with my friends. So they only know that if they're going to go to these 3 restaurants, they invite us. Otherwise, they're doing their own thing. So it's Louis Bossi. I like that. Place always hits. Great food. Always a good experience. Casa d'Angelo. That guy is a master. Chef Angelo knows what he's doing. Evelyn's has been a really nice addition to Fort Lauderdale and has definitely elevated the scene and has only gotten better with time. So those are kind of the go-to places. And we get pizza every Friday night. So if you need to know where good pizza is, you should ask me, but there'll be big arguments in my family with the kids. So I'll give you a couple of pizza spots.
Okay.
A new place, Palmarello, just opened.
By the Broward Center.
Super good. Yes, by the Broward Center.
Okay.
Mr. 01, very good.
We're so glad you chose Fort Lauderdale, not just for your hotel, but to raise your family, to live here. We know there's a lot of exciting opportunities on the horizon.
So the Dalmar is just the first step. So we are going to create together cooler and better, even better than the Dalmar, other opportunities in other forms of real estate in Fort Lauderdale, no doubt.
We just heard from Jake about what makes downtown Fort Lauderdale so special, why visitors continue to come to this great destination, what's in store for the future, and what we need to do to partner together to make this the most special place. Check us out on social at DDAFTL and learn all about the great opportunities that await your arrival.